Son, daughter, pay attention to what I'm about to tell you now, with all my love contained in every word, because the time of superficiality has passed, and something deep and eternal is being breathed over your soul in this very moment. Don't let your mind get distracted. Don't listen to this message as just another among many. Listen to it as if it were the only one, because for you it is. I chose you to hear this at this exact moment in your life. You know it's no coincidence that you're here. Deep down, you know your soul has been silently crying out for answers, for direction, for comfort. And I, your Father, the God who formed you with my own hands, come today to answer you with a voice that is both gentle and firm. I want you close, so close that you can feel my thoughts touching yours, so close that you can hear the delicate sound of my care, even when all is silent, so close that no lie from this world can convince you that you're alone, unloved, or that your story is too small to matter to heaven. Son, listen to me, and please, I beg you not to mock this by ignoring it as if it were just another fleeting emotion. I know every curve of your path, every night you prayed with no strength, every tear hidden in your pillow. I saw when your heart broke into pieces while you tried to appear strong on the outside. I saw when you thought of giving up but kept going without even knowing how. That did not go unnoticed by me. It was not ignored by heaven, but now the time has come to go further, to allow me to do in you something even you cannot imagine. But for that you need to let me in completely. You need to allow me to gently and truthfully remove what has been pulling you away from me. I know, it hurts. There are things you've learned to protect as if they were yours, habits that became crutches to survive hard days. There are people you let into your soul who now hurt you, and yet you think you couldn't live without them. There are routines you called life that little by little have been killing your faith, your light, your calling. And I, with all my love, cannot let you remain in that cycle that is destroying your essence. You were made for more. You were called to live a life that pulses with purpose, with truth, with freedom. But for that to happen, you must let me break those chains. Imagine a garden choked by weeds. The beauty is still there, but it needs to be set free. That's your heart. There is still beauty, there is still purpose, there is still good seed inside, but everything is suffocated by things that don't come from me. And no matter how hard you've tried to fix it all with your own hands, you now realize you can't do it alone, because there are wounds only I can heal. There are roots only my hand can cut without destroying you from within. And you know that even though you try to stay in control, your soul is crying out for rest. You want peace. You want to breathe deeply without that knot in your chest. And I tell you, it's possible, but it starts here with a choice. With a deep, honest, brave, yes, let me transform your home into a place of peace, not just the environment around you, but within you. I want to make your home a refuge where my name is celebrated, even on difficult days. I want your children, your family, your neighbors to sense that something dwells there, something that can't be bought, imitated, or lost. My presence. But before I touch your house, I need to touch your heart, because everything true begins within. I want to make your heart a sanctuary where I can rest, where my thoughts have space, where my plans can flourish, a place where doubt no longer reigns, where fear no longer dictates the rules, where the past no longer has a voice, a place where light shines even in the middle of the storm. You were created to be a house of God, a dwelling place of the eternal. And I'm not saying that as a metaphor, but as a deep spiritual truth. I don't just want you to know about me. I want to live in you, walk with you in the silence of the early morning, whisper advice in your exhaustion, hold your hands when the world feels too heavy. But for that to happen, you need to let go of what is sabotaging you. You need to give me what you know is drawing you away, even if it hurts. Think of a potter shaping clay. The vessel only finds its true form when it surrenders to the pressure of the hands molding it. You are that vessel. I am the potter. And even if life feels like it's spinning too fast, even if the heat of the trial seems too intense, I'm still here, molding you every day, in every surrender, in every tear you shed before me. I gather them like precious drops and use them to soften your soul so I can shape you more gently. You are not alone in this process. I am here, close. I've always been, even when you didn't sense me, even when you forgot me, even when you said you couldn't go on. I never left. Because the covenant I made with you doesn't depend on your strength, but on my love. And my love doesn't give up, it insists, it heals, it restores. And today, once again, I invite you, come closer. Let me care for you, let me guide your steps on paths of life. Because what I have for you goes beyond anything you could ever dream. Son, listen closely. You were not created to live trapped in cycles of guilt, anxiety, comparisons, and fear of the future. You were created to walk in freedom, in peace, toward your eternal destiny. But the enemy of your soul wants to keep you imprisoned in small distractions, in emotional addictions, in commitments that drain you but don't build you. He wants you to keep chasing the wind, trying to prove your worth by others' opinions, trying to earn love through your performance. But I created you to receive, not to earn. I loved you before you even knew what love was. I chose you before you could say yes. I called you by name when no one else recognized you. You are mine, and my love is not an empty promise. It is an eternal truth that upholds everything around you. So do not fear losing what chains you, because what I want to place in its place is infinitely greater. And when you finally surrender what's been sabotaging you, you'll realize it was never a loss. It was liberation. You weren't called to carry dead weight. You were called to flourish. So, my child, keep in your heart everything you've heard. You don't need to run or prove anything to me. Now just walk, carrying these words inside you like someone carrying a seed that will bloom at the right time. Sometimes what I speak today only echoes in the soul days later. And that's okay, because I am the God who respects your rhythm, who knows your pauses, who understands your silence. I stay with you, even on days you don't know what to feel. My presence doesn't depend on your haste or your performance. I am constant. And my love has no expiration date. There is no clock in heaven demanding your decisions. Only a father with arms always open, waiting, not demanding, only loving. So child, don't punish yourself. Just remember, I want you close. And every time you think of me, even if it's in doubt, even if it's just a vague thought, I will already be there, smiling in your spirit, gently saying, I'm still here, and I always will be. And now that your heart is open and still, I want to speak to the parts of you that you've buried, parts that even you no longer visit, the disappointments that hardened into silence, the dreams you once held close but eventually wrapped in blankets of resignation. You thought letting go of those dreams was maturity, but much of it was fear wearing wisdom's mask. I want to revisit those places with you, not to bring pain, but to restore what is worth saving. There are things I placed in you long ago that never died. They've only gone quiet, waiting for you to believe again. And I have not changed my mind about what I called you to become. I want to address the way you measure your worth. You often weigh it against productivity, approval, or applause, but I never created you to live from external confirmation. Your worth is not something you earn, it's something you carry because you come from me. That's why the emptiness returns when the noise fades. Because applause fills the ears, but only my presence fills the soul. And I know you've been trying to do everything right, trying to be responsible, trying to be strong for everyone, but sometimes strength becomes a disguise for deep exhaustion. You're not weak for needing rest. You're human, and I created humans to walk with me, not run without me. You've been walking through life like a soldier who never leaves the battlefield. But there's more to your calling than just surviving the war. There's joy, there's beauty, there's communion. You were not created to fight endlessly without also learning to dance in the rain. Come, let me teach you how to rest without guilt, how to stop without fear that everything will fall apart. Because I hold what you're afraid to drop. You think you'll lose control if you let go. But the truth is, you were never meant to carry this much. I want to teach you the difference between carrying responsibility and carrying burdens that were never yours. You've picked up people's expectations and called it faithfulness. But I'm asking you to return to my voice because my burden is light and my yoke fits your soul perfectly. Some of what you're carrying isn't yours. Some of what you're striving to maintain is already falling apart for a holy reason. It was never built on truth. Let me help you discern what to hold and what to release. Not everything breaking is a loss. Some things fall apart so the truth can rise from underneath. I know it's hard to admit what's not working, especially when you've invested so much into it. But sometimes the most faithful thing you can do is walk away from what I never asked you to stay in. That relationship you keep justifying. Listen closely. When it costs you your peace, dims your light, and chips away at your identity, it is not from me. I didn't call you to be consumed by someone else's chaos. I called you to bring peace into storms, not to live stuck inside one. And I see how lonely you feel even in crowds. That's because you've been starving for soul-level connection, something no amount of social noise can satisfy. You were designed for sacred intimacy, not just with others, but first with me. When that connection is restored, the rest will align with time. You keep asking me why certain doors closed. But child, some doors lead to rooms I never wanted you to enter. I closed them not to punish you, but to protect the parts of you still under healing. Stop grieving what I removed out of mercy. I'm not taking things from you. I'm making space for what your heart truly needs. There are things I've prepared for you, but I cannot place them in hands that are still clenched with control. Open your hands. Let go of the counterfeit to receive the real. You don't need to understand everything today. Obedience rarely comes with full explanations, but trust begins when you say yes, even while the map is still blank. And your healing, it won't always come in lightning bolts or grand awakenings. Sometimes it looks like slowly choosing peace instead of anxiety, silence instead of reaction, stillness instead of proving. Healing isn't a performance, it's a process. And I'm not measuring your progress like the world does. I measure it by surrender, not speed. Don't rush what I'm growing in you. The deepest roots take time, but they are what will hold you firm when the winds come. You keep asking me for the next step. But what if the next step is learning how to be still without panicking, how to wait without trying to control the timeline? You haven't missed your moment. You haven't ruined the plan. I factor in delays, detours, and doubts. My faithfulness is not shaken by your fragility. Stop rehearsing all the ways you could have done better. Regret does not bring you closer to me. Honesty does. Bring me the truth, even if it's messy. I can work with truth. I cannot bless pretending. Even when your prayers are tired sighs, I hear them. Even when your worship feels dry, it reaches me. I don't need perfection. I desire presence. And about your fear of the future, I hold it. Not just the unknowns, but the parts you dare not even think about. I'm already in the days ahead, preparing peace for every hour you'll walk through. Let me interrupt the stories of fear you've been telling yourself. Let me replace the what-ifs with I am. That's where your confidence lives, not in the certainty of outcomes, but in the certainty of who holds them. And as for your calling, it doesn't require a stage. It doesn't depend on titles or followers. It begins in the quiet places where you choose love over bitterness, truth over compromise, faith over self-preservation. You keep asking what your purpose is, but it's been in front of you all along. To love me with your whole being and to let that love overflow into everything you touch. You were never meant to be impressive. You were meant to be transformed, and in that transformation others will see me, not your strength but my grace in your weakness. I want to make your home a place of prayer again. Not out of obligation, but because you realize that the most powerful thing you can do for your family is invite me to stay. Let your home become an altar again, not just with words, but with atmosphere, with how you speak, forgive, rest, and honor one another. If there's strife in your home, start with your posture. Peace isn't something you force, it's something you carry, and where you carry it, I will dwell. Even your finances, I care. I see the weight of it. I know you've been worried about provision, but I am still Jehovah Jireh, the one who provides. I will not let your needs fall through the cracks of your fear.